What's up everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today is my March budget with me, which I know I'm super late to the game. I promise that I'm gonna get better at these budget videos. But what I'm going to be doing in this budget with me is kind of going through and showing you what I think that I spent in February, and then obviously just my setup for March, which I did already do my cash envelope stuffing, and you can check that video out here if you do want to see the breakdown of March. But technically my monthly budget with me is kind of me closing out. I think I'll probably start calling it March budget with me, February closing out, or something like that. Now, unfortunately, since I was new to the cash envelope system in February, I did not keep track the way that I was supposed to, but I did fix that problem for March. So at the end of March, I'll know exactly how much money I spent per category total and can show you exactly the zero-based budgeting and where all my dollars went. Unfortunately, with February, I was still kind of figuring things out and working on things, and that's kind of the reason that it took me so long to make this video, is because I wasn't sure if I should share my progress or not, since I did make a lot of mistakes. But I figured, why not? I'll share my progress, show you the things that I changed for March and how I'm, getting better at budgeting in March, and then in just a couple weeks, you'll actually see all the good things that I've done in March. Okay, let me put you up above so you can see my bullet journal and all of the stuff, and we'll get started. Okay, so we have my bullet journal, and this was my setup for February. Now, if you watched my February budget with me, I actually had set up a different spread first. This is the spread that I set up, but I've been following a lot of the Budget Mom and everything that she's been doing, and so it made sense for me to actually do this. Now, I actually went through here and figured out exactly how much we did spend. So I had put this expense that I thought it was going to be, and then put what we actually spent in that category. So if you look, I was actually under in electric. I had only said that we were going to spend $140. We actually spent $157 for the phone bill. So what happened was some of my family members are on our phone bill, and they forgot to pay their portion. So we ended up, this whole total came out of our checking account, but then they should be paying double next month. So hopefully that will even out next month. For the internet, I was just $3 lower. So that's pretty cool. For insurance, it was actually higher. These things were all just regular because they're always the same. We were $2 over in water. So the difference came out to something different. Obviously, when I figured out my March stuff, I actually budgeted more for this stuff because you're supposed to budget more than what you think. So instead of going lower, I decided to go higher for this month instead. For envelopes here, I had done $700, but we only spent $357, which was great. We spent $70 in dining out, $25 in gas, and then we spent the full budget in those other categories. For these ones, I just said that I spent $22 in shipping and $23 in the gifts for others. All of the other things are untouched, even though that technically still came out this is an expense technically, even though it's a sinking fund. I did end up using some of those, so I don't have that full thing saved. Then I ended up paying off the Amazon credit card. I'm cutting that up. That is something I definitely don't want to have around. It's a little too risky. These other two credit cards we are going to keep once we have them paid off. We're just not going to use them, but we want to keep that line of credit open. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how much exactly we could have paid. We did pay about $1,200 in payments, but I don't know. We probably could have paid more than that, but like I said, I don't know where all of the money went for this month because I made the mistake and didn't keep trackers. So this is what my March looks like. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to actually write down all of your expenses. So this is my checking, this is my cash, and this is my PayPal. And so you're supposed to write down every single thing that comes out and what your starting balance is, so that way you know at the end of the month. But I didn't keep track of my starting balance in February. I didn't keep track of all of this stuff, so I couldn't remember if I took out of an envelope and put it in my checking account, or if it was double, or what the heck it was. But then you do these categories, so at the end of the month, I'll actually know exactly how much I've spent in each thing. So whether it was cash or checking or PayPal. So I did try and figure out out a little bit of my stuff in February. I kind of did this. I had tried to figure out a PayPal thing, but it ended up just being too much work. This isn't exactly like what we made or spent in these categories. This is just from me kind of like going off our bank account, trying to go through everything at the end of February. It was really hard and such a big headache. So I definitely suggest that you do these trackers like I did for March, like throughout the month. Don't save it to the end. Do it every week or so you don't forget. And so March is gonna be way better when I close out my budget. But closing out February's budget was not fun. So in groceries, we spent $357. I think that we spent about $1,300 doing the credit card payments. I think we like paid off that much, but I'm not exactly sure because we realized that our Amazon account was linked to one of the credit cards, so there were things coming out of there, so we were racking up money on that, and I was like, what is going on? So I think I fixed that for March, and I won't have that problem. We totally are taking the one credit card off of that and only using our checking account for Amazon purchases. Then for miscellaneous, I have $209. For shipping, I spent $22. Our income, I actually don't think this is correct. So here's the thing. My husband's income, the mortgage actually comes out of that before he gets paid. So I forgot like exactly how I was keeping track of this, and I ended up having to change it in March. I had the wrong income in here. I had the income before the mortgage came out, but I had crossed out the mortgage, and that didn't make any sense. Like literally, that was $800 that wasn't accounted for then. So I'm actually doing this with his income after the mortgage comes out. So the mortgage is already paid. So I cross out mortgage. So we're not counting that even though we did pay the mortgage, but I'm just basing off the income after that since that's what hits our account, if that makes sense. So I think I had messed that up for February. So this is actually probably like $800 less than what we actually got. But yeah, still. Then utilities, I think it's $833. Dining out was $70. Insurance is $462. Car maintenance is $112. Household is $100, $40 for pets, $23 in gifts, $100 for Alvin's and like allowance, and $170 in health. Now I wasn't sure how to figure out these categories. I was really confused on how to do that, and I just watched a video from the Budget Mom today. And so I had started filling out the categories obviously for March, but I'm gonna go ahead and make the spread that she shows in her newest video on how to do the categories. So I'm going to do a spread, I think maybe on this page, just so that way I can go back and always look at my categories, or maybe I'll even do one back here. Maybe I'll do a spread back here so I can reference it all the time. So let's go ahead and do that so that way you know what I'm talking about for when I do my March categories, and I'll already have it set up for the future. So I just finished putting together my categories, and this is what I came up with so far. I actually did change some of the colors because I was like actually sitting here and paying attention, whereas the other day when I was doing these colors, I wasn't really thinking into it. But now that I broke these down in order to have written what goes in each category, I actually was able to get rid of some of these colors because, for instance, I put dining out as a different color than groceries, whereas they should all be like together in food. Like, even though I have two separate envelopes for them, I want to have it together in how much food did we, eat or spend in the month. So if you look closely, I have all of the categories and then I have them broken down in what kind of goes in that category. You can still have separate envelopes for all of these, and actually like putting these out like this really made me think. I have like a shipping kind of sinking fund for when I swap books, but I also was thinking like if I wanted to gift myself a book, or say I made money off of like selling a book, I have no category of like things that I could buy for myself. So like even though we're hardcore budgeting, I still like to have a couple small things that we can look forward to. So I might make like a book category, or even like a little category just for me with my name on it, almost like how Alvin has his. But yes, the basics I'm going to be pulling from here, but just maybe like, I don't know, $25 or something a month that I could just, if I wanted to buy myself something, I could buy myself something. And if not, I would just literally put it back into the checking account like every month, if that makes sense. So I might do that for April. I'm gonna think about it, just because if I'm thinking about it, like if it's not clothing or food or something like that, I really don't have it planned out, and I would rather not put it in like the miscellaneous category, because that should just be used for like just unexpected expenses, which, I mean, buying a book could be an unexpected expense, but I would much rather already have like a little spending category for me. But I'm not gonna do that for March. That's just gonna be something that I think about in the future, but I really like how this page turned out, and that's gonna be really helpful once I put together March's closing out budget. So unfortunately, since I didn't have the exact numbers for February, you guys saw now that I'm definitely way set up better for March. So definitely do those things. If you haven't, you wanna, get the ball rolling for April, make sure that you do April correctly. There is this one spread I was going to do. It's the Where Did My Money Go spread, and as you can see, I had only penciled it in, but then that's when I figured out that like I hadn't kept track of everything. I didn't know categories, I didn't know colors, I didn't know how much money I started out with within my account. So this just was a dud. Like, I ended up not doing it, but I will be doing this spread at the end of March. So that way you can see exactly where my money went. And the income that I started with and then the income that I made should turn out to be all of this income. And like, if I put money towards debt or savings or whatever, it should end up zero at the end. So I'm really excited to try that out in March and to see if I am doing it correctly. Okay, like I said before, like, I'm really sorry that I didn't have the exact numbers for February, but I hope that that gave you just some like insight and a look at what we did spend. I promise that when I close out March's budget, I actually will be able to go more in detail on where our money went and what we spent it on. So this video isn't exactly how those videos are going to look. Like, I'm gonna be way better at it. And so for instance, like, the stimulus checks just hit our account, and I'm gonna tell you like what our plan is, what we're doing with that money, because obviously it's zero-based budgeting. We cannot have that money left over, and so I'll let you know if we're going to take all of it and pay the debt off with it, or what we're going to do. But I'm really excited for the end of March in order to figure it out, and you guys will know exactly how much I spent on every single category, where our money went, and it's gonna be so helpful. I think it's just gonna be so cool at the end of the year to like see that I know where all of our dollars went throughout the whole entire year. Like, I will be able to tell you where they went, what we did with them, what category they're in, and I am so excited. So let's hope that I can figure this out for March and be able to explain it to you guys so that you guys can do it for yourselves. But I hope you guys are super excited. This has been going so well, and I feel just still so pumped and so excited for budgeting. Like, I've never been so excited to budget before, and this system just makes me very, very much excited. Okay, that's it. I will see you guys at the end of the month in order for me to close out my budget and for me to start April's budget and filling up all my cash envelopes again. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye, everyone.
I was lost in a city